Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Fifth chapter of the glories of Shrimad Bhagwat Mahapuran, called Bhagwat Mahatamyam. We have completed 4 chapters so far. Today let us read from the 5th chapter, which is about Dhundhukari's obtaining the body of a ghost, Pretyoni, and how he gets liberated. In the first 4 chapters of the glories of the Bhagwat Mahapuran, Bhagwat Mahatamyam, we read about how Naradji met Bhakti Devi, how she was suffering. She had 2 sons, Gyan and Vairagya, who had become old and so lazy and emaciated, how they were delivered by the recitation of Bhagavad Katha, which eventually Naradji arranged with the help of Sankadik Rishis. Sankadik Rishis recited those texts of Bhagavad Katha to Naradji, and Bhakti Devi and Gyan and Vairagya, they were all rejuvenated. And then we learnt about the story of Atmadev, the Brahmin who used to reside near the bank of Tungabhadra river. He had a wife called Dhundhuli, and how they did not have a child, and Brahmin was so much worried and so unhappy, and how he got this fruit from the sannyasi and he gave the fruit to his wife to consume, but she did not. She did a conspiracy with her sister. The food finally went to the cow. The cow delivered a child which was having the body of a human and the ears of the cow. He was named Gokarna, and in the conspiracy the sister had said, I'll give you my son because I have so many children, and you tell a lie to your husband. And all that detailed story we covered. And the child was named as Dhundhukari. Atmadev thought it is his child, but that was not the case. And Dhundhukari grew to become very unkind and extremely full of anger and lust and greed and all kinds of negative tendencies, while Gokarna became a great scholar and a very righteous person. Those are stories we read so far. Today let us see how Dhundhukari, who gets liberated, and what happens to him. So this chapter begins with the words of Sutji. He says that after Atmadev, who got so much unhappy when the son mistreated him and beat him up, he left home, and he had been advised by Gokarnaji to go and study Bhagavad Katha, practice detachment, and eventually he obtained the God realization. And after the father has gone to the forest, one day Dhundhukari is asking his mother to give all the wealth. Where have you hidden it? And he beat her up. She fell into, she was so unhappy, she fell into a well and she died. And Gokarnaji went for a Tirthayatra pilgrimage. He was neutral, so he was not affected by all these happenings. Suta uvacha pitra yuparate tena janani tardita vrisham Kva vittam tisthati bruhi hanishye latyana chet iti tadvakyam santrasa janya putra dukattah kupe pata krito ratra tena sanidhanam gata Gokarna stirthayatratam nirgato yoga sanstitah na dukkham na sukham tasya na vairi napi bandhava. Dhundhukari brought 5 prostitutes because now there was no one to curb him, talk anything. So those 5 prostitutes started to take all the wealth from Dhundhukari, and they would ask him to get more and more. And Dhundhukari became extremely devious and mean and started to steal. And then finally the women are thinking that the king will come to know and he will give the life sentence to Dhundhukari, so why not we kill him in a secretive manner, and then we will just vanish with all his wealth. And they put a rope in his neck and tried to strangulate him, but when he was not dying, they put cinders, the burning cinders in his mouth, and finally Dhundhukari died after so much of miserable experience. And they put his body in a ditch, they dug the earth and put him there. They buried him, and they lied to others that our beloved has gone to another country, so he will take some time to return. And that's how these women behaved, and after some time they just vanished with the wealth. Tadeham mumuchurgate praya sasika striyah nagyatam tadrahasyam tu kenapidam tathaivacha lokai pristavadanti sma duram yata priyohinah agamishyati varshe asmin vittalok bhavakarshitah trinam daivatu vishwasam dustanam karyetuddhah vishwaseya sthito murda sadukkai paribhuyate. And they went off. Now Dhundhukari, who died in such a ghastly manner, he had become a very big ghost, ghastly and terrible ghost he had become. And like a storm, he would be visiting, he would be wandering about, he would be having so much of miseries, and with the hunger and thirst, he will keep crying, Ha Daiva, Ha Daiva, but he was not getting any shelter. So after some time, Gokarna also came to know about what happened to Dhundhukari, and he did Shraddh, the Shraddh ceremony, the passing away ceremony in Gayaji, in the pilgrim center Gaya, and wherever other places he would go, he would perform the Shraddh. So one day he returned to his city, and in the night, without seeing anyone, he went and slept in his courtyard. And there in the night, he saw an amazing act. Dhundhukari had taken the form of the animal. Sometimes he would become an elephant, a buffalo, a sheep, and sometimes he would appear as Indra, or he would appear as fire, and sometimes he appeared in the form of a human. So Gokarna ji thought that this is a living being who is under such great miseries, and he kept his patience and asked him, "Who are you? Why are you showing me such terrible forms of yours? How did you become like this? Please tell me, are you a pret or a pishach, ghost, or the other ghostly creature, or are you a rakshas or demoniac person?" So, evam brahmansa Gokarna swapuram samu peyivan ratro grihangane swaptu magato alakchita pare tatra suptam savigyaya Dhundhukari swabandhavam nishite darshayamasa maharodrataram vapu sakrinmesha sakridvasti sakrischa mahisho bhavat sakridandra sakrichagni punascha purusho bhavat vaparityamidam drishtva Gokarno dhairya sanyutah ayam durgatikah kopi nischityatam bravit Gokarna uvacha kastva mugnataro ratro kuto yato dashamimam kim va preta pishacho va rakchaso siti shanshanah. So Sutji is now telling Shaunakadik rishis When Gokarna ji asked these questions, he started crying. He did not have the strength to speak. He was just, giving some signals. So Gokarna ji took some water and chanted some mantras and sprinkled on him. Some of his sins were mitigated upon this, and he started saying, I am Dhundhukari, your brother, and by my own faults and all the devilish acts which are uncounted, I have put myself in this condition. I have been very violent. Those women killed me in such terrible manner, and that's why I am in this ghost body, and only I can consume air, and that is how I am living. So you are the ocean of compassion. How can you please get me rid from this species? Gokarna heard all these words of Dhundhukari, and he told him that I'm really surprised because I had performed Pindadan in Gaya, all the ritual ceremonies, and why did you not get liberated? And if you cannot get liberated in the Gaya Shrad, then what else can we do? So the ghost says, even if you perform hundreds of such Gaya ceremonies, you will not be successful, because then Gokarnji says that then what else we can do? So you do one thing, you stay where you are and let me go and find out. So next morning the people came to see him, and some of them were scholars and yogis, and they had the knowledge, and they had some knowledge of the Vedas also. They found out what should be done in this case, and then they decided that when we should take the advice from Surya Narayan, the sun god, and then Gokarna by his austerities, he could connect with the sun god. He sang glories of sun god, that you are the witness of this entire world, and I do my obeisances to you. Please tell me what can we do about the liberation of Dhundhukari. Then Suryadev clearly told, which was heard by everyone, that this liberation can only take place by Shrimad Bhagwat, and therefore you should do a week-long yajna to do the Saptah Parayan. And this is a simple method. Try your best and do this. So Gokarna decided to speak Bhagavad Katha. Tata sarvai surya vakyam tanmukto asthapitam param Gokarna sthambanam chakre surya vegasya vaitada tubhyam namo jagat sakchin bruhi me mukti hetukam tachrutva durata surya asfut mityabhya bhashata Shrimad Bhagwatan mukti saptaham vachanam kuru iti surya vacha sarvair dharma rupam tu vishrutam sarve bruvana prayatnena kartavyam sukaram tvidam gokarnom nischayam kritva vachanartham pravartitah. So from different countries and villages, people assembled. So many lame people, blinds, old, and even those who were having less intellect came for mitigation of their sins. And there was a big crowd now, and Vyasji sat on the Gokarna sat on the Vyas Gaddi, the seat, and then this ghost of Dhundhukari also came down. He saw there was a bamboo with 7 knots, and since he had the body of the air, he couldn't stay out, so he entered that bamboo from the hole at the bottom. Samajastu mahan jato deva vismaya karaka yadaivasanam asthaya gokarno Kathayat katham sapretopi tada yata sthanam pashyan nitastah nitastatah sapta granthi yutam tatra pashyat कीचकमुच्छ्रितं तन्मूलछिद्रमाविश्य श्रवणार्थं स्थितो ह्यशो वातरूपी स्थितिं कर्तुं शक्तो वंशमाविशत्. So Gokarnji made one Brahmin as the chief listener and started to speak about the first canto in clear words. And in the evening there was a very surprising result. Everyone saw that one knot of that bamboo, with clear sound, broke and split. Second day in the evening when the katha ended, the second knot also split, and so on and so forth. And in 7 days, all the 7 knots were split, were torn apart, and then Dhundhukari appeared after listening to all the 12 cantos in a divine form, and he was having a body which was dark complexion like the cloud, and he was wearing a pitambar, the yellow dress. He was wearing a tulsi mala, and he had a crown on his head, and he had kundals in the ear studs in his ears. द्वितीये अहनि तथा सायं द्वितीये ग्रन्थि भेदनं तृतीये अहनि तथा सायं तृतीये ग्रन्थि भेदनम् एवं सप्तदिनश्चैव सप्तग्रन्थि विभेदनं कृत्वा स द्वादशस्कन्ध श्रवणात् प्रेततां जहो दिव्यरूपधरो जातस्तुलसीदास धाम मण्डितः पीतवासागन् श्यामो मुकुटिकुण्डलान्वितः ननानं भ्रात्रं सद्यो गोकर्णम् इति चाब्रवीत् त्वयाहं मोचितो बन्धो कृपया प्रेतकश्मलात् धन्या भागवती वार्तां प्रेतपीडाविनाशिनी सप्ताहोऽपि तथा धन्य कृष्णलोकफलप्रदः कम्पन्ते सर्वपापानि सप्ताहश्रवणे स्थिते अस्माकं प्रलयं सद्य कथा चेयं करिष्यति आर्द्रं शुष्कं लघुस्थूलं वाङ्मनं कर्मभिकृतं श्रवणं विदेहत् पापं पावकसमिधो यथा अस्मिन् वै भारते वर्षे सुरुभिर्देव संसदि अकथाश्राविणां पुंसां निष्फलं जन्म कीर्तितम्. Then Dhundhukari told his brother Gokarna, he paid his pranams, obeisances, that, "O my brother, you have bestowed such grace on me and you have got me rid from the miseries of this ghostly body. This Bhagavad Katha is so amazing, and it is going to get the abode of Sri Krishna Chandra if we listen to the weekly Parayan, and the sins get scared when they hear about the Bhagavad Katha, and Bhagavad Katha can eliminate all these sins, whether they are carried out by mind or words or actions, whether they are old or new, or whether they are small or big. All kinds of sins will get burnt by hearing this Saptashravan, this Bhagavad Katha. And it is like the wood, which is whether wet or dry or small or big. That is how the woods get burnt. So similar is the Bhagavad Katha. And the scholars say in the assembly of the Devatas that in Bharatvarsh, if the person does not hear Bhagavad Katha, then his life is futile. So what is the use in looking after the body and making it strong, etc., because it is having so many defects. There are bad odor in the body. It is a repository of excreta and urine, and in the old age it becomes so full of miseries. It is always, this body is always wanting desires, it never gets satisfied. So there are so many defects, and so why not take up to the Bhagavad Katha, which is the answer to all these. So about the body, it is saying that if we cook the food in the morning, it gets spoiled by the evening. So that food which is building up our body, how can it ensure the welfare of the body? And then when Dhundhukari was saying all this, the people from the Parshad, the associates of the Lord from Vaikunt, came down in a plane, and there was such a beautiful light, effulgent, and Dhundhukari rode that plane. And when Gokarna saw these associates of the Lord in that aeroplane, in that plane, Gokarna said, "Oh my dear associates of the Lord, there are many hearers, the listeners who have come with a pure heart. Why you have not brought a plane for them? All of us have heard this katha equally, but why there is a difference in the result?" So those associates say, "Oh my dear human, there is a difference in the type of listening. It is true that everyone heard the katha, but not everybody contemplated on it. That is why there was a difference in the results. The ghost, he heard this katha without caring for anything, without food, anything, and he kept his mind so fixed, and he did so much of contemplation. So the knowledge which doesn't get very much rigid, that gets lost and it is futile. So if we do not hear with concentration, and if we have doubt, and if the chitta, the mind, intellect is wandering, there is no fruit." So in the Shravan month, again Gokarnaji narrated these stories, and when the katha ended, the many planes appeared along with the Lord, along with so many devotees. Now there was great glorifications and Jai Jaikar. Everyone chanted the Jai Ghosh, and the Lord himself was so pleased, and he blew his Panchajanya conch shell, and he embraced Gokarna, and he made him also like him. And all the other listeners also got the same complexion. They wore the pitambar, the yellow dresses, and all the ornaments. Even the dogs and the chandals, the lowest caste humans who were living in that village, they also got to ride the plains. And then the Lord departed for Golok Dham along with all these. In the same manner, like Lord Ram had also departed. So this is the glories of the Bhagavad Katha in the 5th chapter, which ends with 3 shlokas, where Sankadik Rishis are telling Naradji that how to describe the results of listening to the weekly Saptah Yajna, the Bhagavad Katha. Even from one's ear, if some little letters have been heard, that person will again not come into the womb of the mother. So the great austerities by living only on air and water and leaves, and yoga, etc., cannot get the results like this Bhagavad Katha does. So even Munishwar Shandilya, who is in Brahmanand, he is situated in Chitrakoot and he is reading about this purifying itihas, the history. This katha is very purifying. Once we hear, it eliminates all the sins, it burns them, and if it is recited at the time of the Shraddh, then the ancestors also get very much blissful, and by regular part, the recitation, the liberation is granted. So, with that, we end this chapter by reciting the last three verses. The chapter 5, Bhagwat Mahatamyam. Brumotra te kim falavrindamujjvalam saptah yagyena kathasu sanchitam karnena gokarna kathakcharo yai pitascha te garbhagata nabhuya vatambu parnashana deha shoshanai stopi bhirur kairishwara kala sanchitai yogaischa sanyantinam tam gatim vai saptah gatha shravanena yantiyam इतिहासमिमं पुण्यं शाण्डिल्योऽपि मुनीश्वरः पठते चित्रकूटस्थो ब्रह्मानन्दपरिलुप्तः आख्यानमेतत् परमं पवित्रं श्रुतं सकृद्वै विदहेदधौगम् श्राद्धे प्रयुक्तं पितृतृप्तिमावहे नित्यं सुपाठद् पुनर्भवं च. That is the end of chapter 5, Bhagwat Mahatamya. Radhe Radhe.